Good evening. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Jefferson County Board of Education on Monday, August 12th. If you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So I understand we have a pretty special recognition this evening.
We do. I'm very excited about it myself. Actually, I'm gonna let Miss White speak to that for our.
We're talking about Jennifer.
Oh,
I missed what you said.
no, that recognition.
Oh, yes. I'm ready.
We're boom. There you go.
Magic word, right? I missed the magic word. Larry, can I have you to the podium? I'm very excited to bring back once again Larry Willingham before you. And this time we're going to talk about Larry not only being Jefferson County Service Personnel of the Year, he was selected as a state finalist, a very high honor. And this evening we're going to present him with a plaque. But first I'd like to tell you a little bit about Larry. Larry was chosen this year as the service personnel for Jefferson County Schools and has been employed with Jefferson County for 26 years. His responsibilities in the transportation department include the design and upkeep of almost 100 bus routes, actually 100, evaluating and determining school bus stop eligibility, preparing transportation payroll for the finance department, driving a school bus when needed, assisting and overseeing the use of all of our GPS, cameras, two-way radios for buses, and he is on call, and I can testify to that, for emergency situations that involve the school system. He does multiple other duties as the need arises. In addition to Larry's many duties, he has worked diligently last school year to finish his associate's degree in applied science from the Blue Ridge Community and Technical College, where he was named to the president's list, all while having a full-time job. Very impressive, Larry. Larry has been involved in many community involvements that have earned him the respect and the honor of a Jefferson County citizen. He has been involved with 4-H, served as a volunteer firefighter. He was a certified West Virginia University 4-H camp director, served as chairman of the Charlestown Rants and Christmas Parade. He's worked closely with the United States Department of Homeland Security and their involvement with Jefferson County Schools. He's a member of the Region 3 Interpol Committee, which is the statewide radio system. He's a member of the Jefferson County Emergency Operations Center in the transportation section, and he sits on an LSIC at TA Lowry. Larry goes above and beyond every single day. His job is not just a job, it's part of who he is. And it is my pleasure to present to him this plaque, which says West Virginia School Service Personnel Employee of the Year finalist, Larry Willingham, Jefferson County Schools. Very well done.
Very nice, thank you. Speak.
Speak and say a few words, Mr. Willingham.
Throw the microphone there.
No, speak.
Thank you all very much. Very, very nice.
You can go around with the board so we can get a proper
Yes,
picture of the
absolutely.
plaque and everything. Many don't know it, I'm in the official Larry Willingham fan club.
We all are.
Exactly.
A lot of our kids rode his bus.
That's awesome.
A lot of kids still do.
It's very true.
4-H kids too.
Thank you, Mr. Willingham. after that, no ma'am, I feel entirely inadequate on so many different levels, no.
Alright. Approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes held July 22nd, 2019, and the emergency board meeting held July 9th, 2019?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? Alright, thank you. Citizens' comments. Just a reminder that, you have 3 minutes to speak, and I'm going to attempt to do double duty tonight and do Miss Ogden's, oh, you can do it, excellent. Phew. First up is Ruth Hatcher, followed by Mark Wilson.
And it's 15 minutes, right?
3.
That's right. We don't want 15 minutes. Thank you. I'm Ruth Hatcher. I just had to take a quick nap, so it kind of groggy from my nap I had to take. I found another, of course, disturbing article, and this one called the pollution basically is an environmental trauma, and I thought that was a word that I had not used, put together, environmental and trauma, but I thought that was very fitting for what really happens. And I think the Regional Student Support Center is highly needed, and I certainly support that for the board very strongly. And this article actually talks about the psychiatric aspects of air pollution, and apparently this can, and obviously it affects the nervous system, but apparently this is one of the first things that is noticed about air pollution and its effects. So I found that very interesting. And so I'd like you to have that. And then there is an article that you may have already seen. It's called Toxic Air in America's Schools. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but it's called the smokestack effect. And it was a study done by USA Today back in 2009, and it directly relates to this situation. So I thought I'd bring this to you. I actually had the honor of meeting a Johns Hopkins doctor who actually supported some of the data in this article. The link to this data does not work, but I'm trying on getting that rectified. But I thought I don't know if anybody has ever brought that to your attention or not, but it was quite an interesting study where they took the EPA TRI report and found quite shocking information. And there are quite a few schools in our country, unfortunately, that have a very bad problem with pollution and industry being beside there. And one thing which was disturbing, Senator Barbara Boxer, who chairs the Environment and Public Works Committee, they described their findings as a shocking story of child neglect. Because that's what heavy pollution on our children is. It's child neglect. And secondhand smoke to our children is also considered child abuse. So obviously we don't allow our children to smoke. And we have very strong federal rules about the air quality in our school. And this is like the stack would be like a giant cigarette, 17 million cigarettes coming out. I don't think this should be allowed next to our school. It's illegal, it's immoral, and it's, I think, criminal, and it's definitely child abuse. So I hope that you guys can do your jobs and take care of our kids and their community. Thank you. And do you want any of these by chance?
And after Mr. Wilson, we have Kathy Joswick.
She actually has 13 more minutes, right? I heard 15.
Within 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Oh, God.
I'm not going to take that long. I think you're destined to try to make a public speaker of me, but here I am again. I guess my first ask is that you guys are tracking your enrollments. People pulling out to do homeschooling, people moving away, tracking your enrollment statistics. I hope you guys are doing that as an effect of Rockwell in this community. Second, I have my statement that I think I emailed you on the emotional the Department of Justice ruling that the state needs facilities for special needs. To me, that's not a need down the road. It was a immediate need, and you guys had the property for that, so I am disappointed in that. But what can we do now? You saw the ruling from Judge Hammer that the pilot agreement does not hold weight. So I hope that you guys release a statement that you guys do not support that. I hope you continue to fight Rockwell coming in this community. It is not good for our children, and it doesn't serve any purpose for the health of this community. Thank you very much.
And after Kathy, we have Mark Everhart.
Hi, Kathy Joswick. I just have a short, unscripted speech for you today. One is I support the upcoming bond hearing. I have kids in the Jefferson County School District, and it doesn't make sense to me and a lot of parents to have that bond lapse and then have to raise taxes again. So it makes sense to us that the schools need all of the money that they can get in a continuous fashion, and we support the bond hearing, or the bond election, I guess you call it. I'd also like to urge you, on the behalf of my son and his friends, to determine a suitable way for the Jefferson County schools to participate in the Global Climate Action Week that is happening the 20th through the 27th of September. You know, a lot of countries have weekly or monthly walkouts at their schools. I don't imagine that we would do that, but I think it would be great for the kids. Many of them are concerned about climate change. It would be great to introduce them to some of the science, as well as introduce them to some of their peers around the world that are also concerned about this issue. So I hope that Jefferson County Schools is coming up with something that will integrate with the global actions that are occurring in September. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And after Mark, we have Grant Perlman.
Hi, everyone. I've spoken to you before regarding the possibility of a special election, so tonight I'm going to keep my comments brief. I'm here once again to urge you to vote against any special election for the upcoming school bond and to hold the bond vote during the 2020 primary. As you know, public sentiment is against using taxpayer money to fund any sort of special election. And it's my opinion that the bond will have a much better chance of passing if it's put on the primary ballot. My feeling is that if the Board of Education moves forward with a special election, there will be a large, organized, and vocal opposition to the bond based solely on the fact that the BOE went against the will of the taxpayers of Jefferson County. I'd also like to suggest that when considering items to be included on the bond, that the board be as transparent as possible, particularly with regards to the Student Support Center. As of last information I have, there's no proposed location for that Student Support Center or an announced plan to pay for the land if a purchase is needed. So before asking taxpayers of Jefferson County to vote to fund a Student Support Center, I would ask that you inform them of the location and have a plan for purchase in place. And I'd also suggest providing the public with any and all information about any expenditures on the bond, including timetables for any of the new schools that are going to be built. Thanks once again, and I once again urge you to vote against any sort of special election tonight. Thank you.
And after Grant, we have Jay Mansfield.
Good evening. Thank you for a little bit of time here. It's good to see you all again. Just very quickly, I've been asked all summer long, what does it feel like to be retired? But I won't know until tomorrow morning when I don't get up at 4:30. So I think that'll probably be nice. I did want to speak to you. Ms. Joswick took a little bit, we both are kind of weighing in on the same thing. September 20th will be the Climate Strike Week. This is being led in many respects by a 16-year-old Swedish girl named Greta Thunberg, who is going to be speaking at the UN. She will be doing a tour of Latin America. We would love for her to come here. But I would ask you to give some thought to what you are willing to do to recognize the issues of climate change and bring those to our students and to their parents. Part of what Greta is trying to do is recognize that students need to push adults because we screwed it up, not the kids. It's on us that the climate change has happened, and generations before us, obviously. But this is a big deal. The science about climate change is incontrovertible. There is no other side. It's happening. And our students need education. Okay? Test scores are great, but learning to ask why and how and what to do about something, that's education. And that's what I urge you to think about. What are the schools willing to do to talk about climate and climate change? And September 20th to 27th is a good time to do that. I would say don't take instructional time away. Use it. That's what it's for, real instruction on real science and climate change. So thank you very much for your time, and look forward to seeing what you come up with.
Thank you.
My name's Jay Mansfield. I'm from Shepherdstown. I'm going to talk today about the Guardian System for Threat Identification and Intelligence. Government agencies tell us that the pollution levels are safe, while medical professionals tell us exactly the opposite. There's so many holes in the EPA boat that there's no way to fix it. With the EPA, a negotiated settlement masquerades as protection, but cannot be directly tied to anything even resembling protection. So let's take a moment and see how the regulations are doing. Question 1, are the regulations tied to recent peer-reviewed publications which objectively analyze exposures and toxicity? Answer, no. The analysis is then moot. Question 2, to the EPA, are the pollution sources at Ranson Heavy Industry monitored 24/7? The answer, no. The EPA only monitors routine daily production. Anything non-routine or non-daily gets a full free pass. That's like having an alarm system that turns itself off on the weekends. That is not safe. Our kids are left sniffing the industry's vacuum sweeper bag, and it's all very legal. We cannot trust the government to help us. We cannot trust the EPA to help us. We cannot trust the law to help us because the regulations are crap. So we're stuck with us protecting ourselves. My new West Virginia company will deploy a system of systems to protect us, and we will call it Guardian. Guardian leverages existing technology to create systems of systems which detect pollution levels and situations that are either unhealthy or uncomfortable to the most vulnerable in our population. Who will set our alert levels in Jefferson County? The residents. Multiple 100-foot towers will be strategically situated between Ranson Heavy Industry and high concern areas, towns, schools, churches, sports fields, etc. Places where high concentrations of people gather routinely. These high concern areas will be fully protected 24/7. The towers will monitor pollution at 100, 75, 50, 25 feet and ground level. Green, yellow, and red lights coupled with audible sirens will show the current threat level to any mom that looks out her window to see if the kids should play outside today. The towers will be integrated so that any alert shows on all the towers. We'll ask judges to issue stop work orders when our predictive analytics detect a potential problem. We already have a meteorologist, systems designer, systems analyst, and equipment deployment and maintenance specialist, and myself. The system will be sensitive and specific and exceedingly thorough, and it will learn in an iterative fashion as time goes on. It will become the model of protection, easily scalable to cover the United States and the world. I have a track record of designing and deploying worldwide threat protection systems. It's a no-brainer for me and a nightmare to polluting companies. To Ranson Heavy Industry, I say this: unhealthy conditions will not be tolerated. There is no operating margin. To heavy polluters, I say, you've met your match. We're a group of very smart people with very smart technology, coupled with the persistence of a protective grandmother, and we are completely decoupled from political influence. Surrender, and surrender now. To the people who suffer from breathing difficulties, I say this: you're welcome. We have your back. Oh, and I jerked that thing off almost. Put that over there.
Thank you. Ms. Harner, does everybody have a copy of his comments, or was it just at my desk? Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. We actually have several announcements and introductions as part of the consent agenda. And given some of our young participating members, I think that perhaps I'll do them first so that they can move on to the Kraft macaroni and cheese portion or the Disney portion of their evening, whatever comes next. I know, I was telling her, I have pictures on my phone of holding her when she was like 2 months old. I was obviously 12, so. So first we will introduce the assistant principal for TA Lowry. We are putting forth for recognition and approval Ms. Heather Hagley, who has more than a decade of experience as a reading specialist, is also a certified ESL teacher. Has a bachelor's degree from Marshall University, a master's from WVU, and certifications in ESL, reading, and as a principal, and as the absolute utmost proof of her good judgment, she has decided to relocate from Berkeley to Jefferson County Schools and return to her roots. Ms. Heather Hagley, you want to stand up and introduce yourself? Say whatever moves you, Ms. Hagley.
Don't give me the floor. No, it's
Okay, let
really,
me start this time.
Okay. It really is an honor and a great privilege, and I'm very excited and thrilled to serve Jefferson County. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. We're happy to have you here. Okay, and I see another young one who has chosen to join us. So next, we are very, very excited to welcome yet another Jennifer. It seems to be like a trend for us. We're working on that. We are recommending for approval for our instructional technology director, Ms. Jennifer Rowan, who has a substantial history that we're very, very excited about. She has worked as both an instructional technology coach and instructional technology resource. She's been a member of the Digital Citizenship Task Force and the Assistive Technology Committee, which is the group that determines technology for students with disabilities, which is a pretty nice specialization to have for us. And one of the things that was particularly both intriguing and exciting for us is that she is also certified as not just a high school teacher and experience as a high school English teacher, but she is a nationally board certified English teacher. So for someone to have both the heavy IT background that she has, as well as the certifications in teaching, instructional technology is all about connecting those tools to good teaching. One without the other is not helpful for our students. In addition to that, she has a bachelor's degree in English from St. Vincent's, a master's in educational media and technology, and is currently obtaining her PhD, correct? In learning technologies design research from George Mason University. She's a certified educational technology leader, as well as I noted, a national board certified teacher. So I would love to welcome, very excited, Ms. Jennifer Rowan.
Really excited to join this team. I already feel very welcomed. Even inviting my family tonight was really exciting for us. Just excited to learn about the culture and your students here. So,
but please introduce them. We have a saying here that says family first. If we don't take care of you, you can't take care of other kids. So go right ahead.
This is Eddie, my husband, Eddie Rowan, and my little son Lincoln. He's only a year and a half, but I will say, if there's a guy like Larry working here, I know I'm in the right place.
So true. You know you're going to get every single transportation request you put in. Pardon me. So not just IT savvy, you got that HR vibe going on. That's pretty sweet. I'm pretty excited about that. We also have these folks who are coming back into the nest in Jefferson and coming in. Thank you so much for joining us, Lincoln. And Dad, Lincoln's dad, because you know that's who you are for the rest of your life. Yes, Lincoln's dad. We also really like when we can promote from within folks who have shown a lot of hard work and initiative. So we have a native in the audience who since they began 21 years ago, when he was 9. In 1998, he was the assistant director for the band at Jefferson High School. And for the last 9 years, he's been with Washington High School, as well as having been an adjunct faculty member at Shepherd University, where he also got his bachelor's degree, and Salem International University for his master's. I conveniently skipped over the fact, and I have been willing to overlook simply because he is a good man. His stint at the University of Florida.
I noticed you skipped that.
I did, because for those of you who don't know, I went to Florida State University. The Seminoles and the Gators are bitter rivals, and other than that slight questionable judgment, it's been impeccable. Other than that, so we are very happy to welcome and present for approval Mr. Donnie Schoen as the new assistant principal for Washington High School.
Thank you, Dr. Gibson. I did notice that. I was
Yes, sir.
going to mention that. I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity. As Dr. Gibson mentioned, I went through the school system. I even stayed at Shepherd once I graduated from Jefferson to get my bachelor's degree, and I really believe in the community, in the system that we have here. I think it's a wonderful education system, and as far as staying at Washington High School, for me, it's become while I graduated from Jefferson and first started teaching at Jefferson, Washington's very much become a home to me the last 9 years, and I was really excited to have an opportunity to stay there and work with the Miss Marcus and the administrative team there, and also the faculty, which is absolutely wonderful. So I'd like to thank you guys for the opportunity.
And please introduce your family.
So this is my really excited kids for coming tonight. This is Gabe. He'll be in 6th grade at Charlestown Middle School. It's my wife Tara, and this is Maddox, and she'll be actually a freshman at Washington High School this year. So she's really looking forward to meeting you.
Your enthusiasm is palpable. Absolutely. So, congratulations, Mr. Sherlin. Thank you
At
so
least you
much.
don't need a wardrobe change. You've already got the red, white, and blue.
The red, white, and
wardrobe
blue.
going.
That's right.
Don't have to switch school colors.
I survived. My dad is a
And finally, someone who could not be with us tonight, we are putting forth for assistant treasurer, Ms. Jennifer L. Conway, who is actually a resident, local of Charlestown, who has more than a dozen years of experience as a finance analyst in a variety of fields. She actually also got her bachelor's degree at Shepherd and then her MBA at American Public University. So she has extensive experience with her master's in business administration. And she also happens to be certified as a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, which for those of you who might not know is a process analyst for effective and efficient businesses. So Ms. Conway couldn't join us tonight, but we are very excited to recommend her to join our team. So, thank you.
Do we have start dates for the 3 to be determined?
Some of them are, we need to, when someone gets promoted, we fill the position closest to the kids first. So for some of them, as soon as we have a sub, like for Mr. Schoen, once we have a sub or someone covering that, we'll release him to roll right into the AP position. So yes, ma'am. Thank you for asking.
And there weren't any other changes or additions or deletions? Or
No,
anything?
ma'am.
Excellent.
Unless Ms. Lauren kicks me and tells me I'm wrong.
I do have a couple of minutes.
Oh, yeah, oh, great.
So the to be determined date is changed for Jennifer Rowan to start August 16th, 2019. So 8/16/19. And then Jennifer Conway start date 8/20/19.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor of the consent agenda?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. All right, moving down to unfinished business. our last meeting, we tabled the discussion and possible action on the special election for the bond. And we've already voted not to have an October election, and we're still working with the community on our CEFP needs. So I don't think there's a need to take action at this point, unless somebody has a motion to say otherwise.
Do we have to, don't we have to finally take that off the table?
I think we have to table them definitely.
That's what I think. Either that or-
I think it's not tabling it, it's simply that you take the action to not hold the special election in October, and then anytime you want to take it up after that, you are certainly able to. So,
That's what I understand from this
Yeah.
as well.
yes,
From the
ma'am.
attorney.
So moved.
Well, we don't need an action, so we're good.
Hmm?
We don't need an action, so we're good.
And we've already taken action on the October 26th election not being held.
Mhm.
All right. New business, approval of a new bus run for Blue Ridge Elementary for the 1920 school year.
I am asking that the board table that action for some information on personnel and legal that needs to be provided in executive session to inform that decision. And then
So-
you ask that you take a vote when you come back out into open.
So we're not tabling, we're moving it to after executive session. Is that what I understand?
Make a motion to accept
The proposal.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right. All right, 11B, bus number 92 from halftime to full-time bus run.
Bus 92 is a board adopted to go from half-time to full-time in our current board-adopted budget for school year 1920. I come before you this evening to ask if you would approve the position for bus 92 to go from half-time to full-time.
What is the change?
There was no change, well, it was always a full-time position, so there's no additional anything. We're just asking that it be moved from half-time to full-time.
I guess what I'm asking is what is the change in the need? Is it?
The position when it was halftime was exceeding a halftime position. It was a full-time position, but it had been originated as a halftime position, so we're just trying to correct the position so that it reflects being a full-time position as it was last year.
So we carried it all last year
We did.
as halftime, but
It exceeded that.
ran into a full-time position
Yes.
because of
Yes, it did.
workload.
All right, is there a motion to move bus number 92 from halftime to full-time bus run?
So
So moved.
Second.
Any further questions?
Yes, I guess what I'm confused on is, so this was a person that was working half-time, but they were working full-time, like getting extra hours?
Yes, ma'am.
So you wanna just make it a full run?
Yes, ma'am.
And the run, is this, I'm not quite sure how a halftime run works. Is that pick up just in the morning and?
No, it's morning and afternoon. It just exceeded, with what was attached to the run, it exceeded 3.5 hours, which is a half a day for an employee.
So can you give me an example of like how this run is different from, to just a normal full-time run?
This run had a morning secondary run and a morning afternoon run. That was secondary.
So how, I'm not quite sure how it started out as halftime, if it's morning and afternoon.
A full-time run is typically a secondary run in the morning and then an elementary run in the afternoon. And then, did I say that right? A secondary run in the morning and then an elementary run in the morning, and then a secondary run in the afternoon, followed by an elementary run in the afternoon. That's typically a full day. This particular run was a half a day, transporting only secondary students. And because of the time that that run started and ended, it exceeded 3.5 hours.
So for anything beyond 3.5 hours, and this is, I think, perhaps where the explanation went awry, is anything that goes over 3.5 hours, we have to pay them full-time. We can't pay them for just 4 hours per day. Once it exceeds 3.5, you're paying them for a full-time job anyway, so you might as well get the benefit of assigning them the additional hours.
Okay, so can you, fill the full-time slot with runs in the morning and afternoon?
Yes.
The plan is to attach an elementary run to it, so it's cost effective.
All right. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and then the next thing we have on the agenda is the superintendent evaluation. And that's gonna be similar to A, where we need to meet an executive session over that before we come out and publicly, make comments about it. Is there a motion to move it to after executive session? All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you. And we do have a couple of things in executive session.
We have personnel and legal.
And there will be action.
Yes, ma'am, and there will be action returning.
All right. Is there a motion to go into executive session? Second? All in favor? Thank you.